Welcome back to the Rise and Grind Workshop. If you're new here, my name is Ryan, and for today's video, we're going to be uncrating and setting up the all-new J16 UV flatbed printer from J's Printer Parts. The J16 is an all-new UV printer, and this is what we're going to call a J's Signature Series. The guys over at J's Printer Parts did a lot of extensive testing, and they're really excited to bring this new line to the market. And a little bit later on, we will also be unboxing and setting up the all-new J36 as well, so make sure you subscribe to the channel so you don't miss that one. So right here inside this crate is the all-new J16, and as you can tell, this is going to be a freight delivery. So the process of ordering is really straightforward. Once you place your order online, a freight carrier will reach out to you and set up a date and time for you to accept delivery. I live in a residential neighborhood, and a small-sized freight truck arrived, and they had a lift gate with a pallet jack, and it was very easy to get this here into our workshop. So if this is your first time ordering and receiving a large crate like this, just understand freight companies can sometimes be challenging to work with. Don't let that get you really frustrated. Once the crate arrives, give a very good visual inspection and just make sure there's no damage to the crate before you accept it. Let's go ahead and get you a couple different measurements on this crate. I know a lot of you really like these ultimate unboxings. This crate is going to come in at about 440 pounds with the crate. Now let's get you those dimensions. Front to back, this thing is going to measure in at 47 1/4. Our total width on the unit is also going to be 47 1/4. And from the floor to the top, you're looking at 31 inches. First thing I'm going to do is remove the lid, and they've got some hex screws all around the perimeter. This is my style crate. These are very easy to take apart. Now that we have all the screws removed, let's go ahead and remove the top, but let me give you one more pro tip. Try to take real good care of this crate as you disassemble it, just in case you find yourself in an unfortunate situation where you need to return this machine or there was some damage you couldn't see inside of the box. It's going to make that process much more simple if you take care and preserve the crate. So there's your first look at the J16, and I am super excited to get this thing out of the crate. I like that they used a nice steel bar inside of this crate. That's going to keep the crate from flexing and damaging the printer. It's really nice to see that they're paying really good attention to make sure that there's not any damage happening during the shipping process. Let's go ahead and get this steel rod removed. Once you remove these bolts, let's go and make sure we hold on to the steel rod so it doesn't drop down onto that nice UV printer. Now all I have to do is continue to work my way around the perimeter to remove all the sides. Next up, we're going to need to remove all of the plastic wrap, and they've also secured the J16 down to the pallet with these brackets, so don't forget to remove these screws. That way you guys can get this J16 lifted off of this crate pallet. On the back side of this unit, you're going to locate this L bracket. There are 3 Allen head screws. This is holding this carriage in place during the shipping process so the carriage doesn't move across that X axis. Go ahead and get an Allen key out and loosen these up and remove that bracket. So according to the spec sheet, the J16 Northern Lights weighs about 264 pounds. Just to make my life a little bit easier, I've got this hydraulic lift table. We went ahead and got the J16 set on this table. I'm going to go ahead and elevate this J16, and that's going to allow us to get this thing lifted up over here on our work table. So as you guys clearly saw, if you have some slave labor available, aka the wife, we were able to muscle this thing up onto the workbench. And just for frame of reference, this is an old work table I had in the shop, and I'm 6'3", so this was a really nice sized table when I was doing work on the table. This is actually too tall for a UV printer in my opinion. From the base of the UV printer to the top of the table, you're at about 16 inches. And from the floor to the top of this work table, we're at 36.5 inches. When we built out our custom table for the 6090 Pro, we actually made that 29 inches, and that worked out perfect with that additional 16 to 17 inches depending on which model you get. Now that we removed that L bracket holding the carriage in place during shipping, you're going to look right here underneath the carriage, and you're going to notice another bracket right here on the Z axis. There's going to be 2 of these, one on the right side and one on the left side. So once again, grab that Allen wrench and remove both of those bolts so you can remove that bracket, and that's going to allow the Z height to move up and down. That right there is the bracket you're removing. Let's jump to the other side and remove that one as well. And just like I showed you guys on the J13 Apricity, this J16 Northern Lights also features these upgraded new linear rails on all the X and Y and even the Z axis. Right here located at the front of the machine is going to be an all-new control panel that is really sleek looking. Facing the J16 on the right-hand side, this is going to be your on and off switch for your vacuum table. This button next to it is going to control the heating element for the ink station in the back, and you have your emergency stop. Since I brought up the vacuum table, let's go ahead and talk about the print area and the table itself. You're also going to notice it now has a grid on the X and Y axis. This is a 16 by 24 print area, and this series of holes in this grid pattern you see here is what's going to be your vacuum table. We've also got a really nice looking carriage on this unit. We have a UV lamp on the left and the right hand side of the unit, and it also has this really cool trap door in the front that's going to allow you to access the print heads. This J16 Northern Lights features a dual print head setup, and they are running TX800 heads on this particular unit. And you also have another trap door right here that is held in place with a magnetic connection, and that's going to allow you to access the capping station and the inkwell. On the left-hand side of the unit, you're going to notice two dial indicators. You have the color white balance, and you have your varnish lamp adjustment as well. Another feature I really like on the Northern Lights is this clean out tank. You can go ahead and flush your print head right here in this little stainless steel compartment. This little 3/8 inch bolt right here is going to give you access to a coolant tank. You're going to fill that tank up with coolant, and that's going to help keep those UV lamps cool and your print heads in operating temperature. And just like the front of the unit, they have all new access to the back side of the unit. So if you need to get down inside of here and make any repairs or adjustments, you've got, again, easy access. You might also notice here on the back side of the unit, you're going to notice some additional ink jugs. This unit features a CMYK along with two additional colors. You now have light magenta and light cyan along with your white and varnish. Right down below you have a large waste tank, and it also has an electrical connection inside of that waste tank that's going to monitor your waste ink levels. The J16 also operates on 110. Here is your switch and the plug for the power. Another really neat feature on the J16 is going to be low ink indicators. These red LED lights on top are going to light up and beep at you if you get low on ink. That way you don't run out of ink mid-print. Not only does the J16 feature that new feature, earlier in the video when I mentioned that there was a heating element plug right next to the emergency stop, this ink station has a heating element inside of it that's going to warm these inks up, and that's going to allow you to have better ink flow. Next up, inside of your crate, you should have an accessory box. This box is going to include the software which is needed to run this unit, and this is a RIN software. They are also going to provide you with a standard USB cable along with a proper power cable. So now we're going to go ahead and plug in the power cable, get the USB cable plugged in and hooked up to our PC, and then we're going to talk a little bit about how to get this RIN software installed. Go ahead and open up the RIN software. The silver USB thumb drive on the left-hand side is what's going to contain all of your software. This blue device on the right-hand side is a security dongle. For this RIN software, you will need to have this security dongle plugged into your PC at all times for the software to operate. I'm going to highly recommend you don't make a beginner error and mistake. Take this silver USB thumb drive out of this box, install it into your PC, and then copy all of the contents from that thumb drive onto the actual desktop. Do not try to install the software from the USB thumb drive. You will most likely get a corrupted file error, and that will cause you a lot of headaches and issues. Now, when it comes to getting your software installed on your PC, there's a wide variety of makes and models out there. If you feel uncomfortable getting this software installed, one of the key benefits of purchasing through J's Printer Parts is their amazing tech support. You can reach out to J's Printers through their messenger program, and their technicians can remote into your computer and help you get your software installed and get you up and running. And here's a quick look inside the accessory box. They're going to provide you with some spare dampers, some extra hardware, an Allen key set, a screwdriver, some extra felt, and an additional wiper and some other accessories. Now let's go ahead and get the USB cable plugged in and connected to our PC so we can install the software. Go ahead and locate the front access door on the right side of the machine, and on the bottom of the UV printer, you're going to notice this little access port. Go ahead and feed your USB cable through there, and you'll make a secure connection right inside of this compartment. Once the cable's plugged in and secure, go ahead and close that access door, and then you can route your cable over to your PC. Let's go ahead and grab that accessory box and locate this felt pad right here. Now you can come over to this carriage and gently move that to the left-hand side. Just make sure your print head is not going to strike anything. This felt pad has a cutout and it can only fit in one way. You're simply going to place this over the top of the ink capping stations and press this down flat. Once that's secure, go ahead and move that print carriage back over to its home position. Now let's go ahead and work our way to the back of the machine. You're going to notice these two hoses wrapped in this plastic bag and some of this pink or red fluid. This is print head protection fluid. This is totally normal. You're going to go ahead and locate the waste tank, and there's going to be two holes drilled in the lid. Let's just go ahead and get these tubes out of this bag, and we're going to feed them down inside of the waste tank. Earlier in the video, I talked about how the J16 has a coolant tank, which is going to help keep those UV lamps in operating temperature. Let's go ahead and remove this 3/8 inch bolt right here. And inside of the accessory pack, J's did include this small funnel. Go ahead and place that in the hole. Now our J16 is in a temperature controlled environment, and we're just going to use pure distilled water. If you have your printer in an environment where it may freeze, you'd want to put something like an antifreeze mix inside of that coolant tank along with the distilled water. So once again, go ahead and check J's Printer Parts for all your additional needs, and you're only going to fill this tank up half full. And on the back side of this unit, when you open up these doors right here, on the right-hand side underneath of that funnel, you can see the container so you can visually inspect it and make sure you've only filled it up halfway full. Over this past year, I've received lots of questions on what's the difference between a soft ink and a hard ink. Anytime you want to print on something that is soft and pliable, especially something like leather or leatherette or any type of material that folds or bends, you would want to use a soft ink. That's going to give you a nice bright color. It's going to cure very hard, but you can fold something like a leatherette patch in half and that ink is not going to crack. If you specialize in things like acrylic keychains, metal signs, yard signs, things of that nature, those are going to be a nice hard material and you don't have to worry about it flexing or bending. That's when you would want to use a hard ink. The hard inks will cure a little bit harder, and some people state they have a little bit more vibrant color. J's also offers a neutral ink option. J's also offers a neutral ink option, so you can find products that work in between those two zones. For this particular machine, we do a lot of leatherette, so we're going to load ours up with this iMagic ink, and we're going to be using a soft ink. If you guys want to purchase this iMagic ink, we've been very pleased with it here at the Rise and Grind Workshop. And again, our discount code Rise and Grind will save you some extra money on this. Head on over to J's Printer Parts and check that out. Let's go ahead and get the ink loaded up. Go ahead and match the black to your black, cyan to cyan, and then when you get down here to the N, the V is going to represent your varnish. Real quickly, another question that comes up, the GO is your gloss, and over here on the ink tank, it's going to have a V for varnish. So your GO is actually your varnish. They are the same thing. And a quick pro tip, always make sure you're shaking your white ink before you place it into the tank. All right, all of the ink is loaded up. Let's head over to the software and load it into the machine. All right, let's go ahead and get our software installed. You'll notice that I have transferred those contents of the USB thumb drive into the J16 Northern Lights folder over here on the C drive. Go ahead and locate the print manager file right here. We're going to right click on that and we're going to extract all of these files. Once those files are extracted, go ahead and come up to the folder called Print Manager and double click on that. Now you're going to scroll down and locate the USB device folder. Double click that. And you're going to look for this Win7, Win10 device G. Go ahead and double click that. Allow permission. And follow the prompts on screen. Now let's go ahead and navigate back, and we're going to scroll down in that same folder, and you're going to look for this file right here, the Better Printer app. Go ahead and right click on that, and then we're going to make a desktop shortcut. Right here is our Better Print app shortcut. Next up, let's go ahead and navigate back to the USB thumb drive folder, and you're going to look for this folder VC package. Go ahead and double click on that. And then you're going to look for the VC runtime. Let's go ahead and double click on this file as well. Now let's go ahead and drop this tab down, locate the Better Print app, and let's go ahead and double click on this and double check that it's installed correctly. Now let's navigate to our desktop and locate the Better Print app and double click on it. If the top of your screen lights up blue like this, you should now be able to press the left and the right key, and the print carriage is going to move. Off camera, you didn't see it, but my print carriage did move. That means the Better Printer app is connected to the J16. Now that we have the Better Printer Manager installed, let's go ahead and locate the RAR file. We're going to right click on that, and we're going to extract that as well. Now let's go up to the RIN 4060, double click on this. We're going to double click on RIN. We're going to then scroll down and look for the RIN application. Once you've located the RIN application, as you see right here on the screen, let's right click on that, and we're going to send that to the desktop as well. Now let's go ahead and minus this down, and here is our RIN shortcut. So if this is your first time opening the RIN software, you're going to receive this dialog box letting you know you need to set up some software parameters. Go ahead and click yes. Let's go ahead and click on the J16, and let's install the printer. Now let's go ahead and open up our Better Print app. And on the left-hand side, you're going to want to make sure we're over here on the print set. Now scroll over here to the right-hand side. You see where this says add ink? Again, this is a 2 print head machine, and this is our first time loading ink into the unit. Go ahead and click the drop-down tab and select all head. What we're going to do is click the start icon, and we're going to let this run for about 30 seconds, and then we're going to click stop, and we're going to move the print head over to the left-hand side and confirm that ink loaded into the capping station. So let's go ahead and click start. Let's go ahead and click stop. That was 30 seconds. Let's just go ahead and use the left arrow and jog that print head to the left. These are your ink capping stations. The white is going to be head 1 and your CMYK is going to be head 2. Both of your capping stations should be completely full like this. If neither of them are full, you'll need to go back into the software. Sometimes on initial startup, you need to load these more than one time. However, if you find that one or the other loaded ink, you'll need to jump back into the software, and instead of loading all head, you're going to choose head 1 or head 2, depending on which one didn't load. That will not waste ink by continuing to do loadings when you already had one ink station full. Now that we know the ink has loaded properly into the capping stations, jump back into the Better Printer app, and you're going to come up here to the top, and we're going to go ahead and choose clean. And once again, you have option of head 1, 2, or all head. We got ink in both capping stations, so let's just go ahead and choose all head. You're going to go ahead and just let the system do its thing. Once the cleaning is finished, the carriage will lock back into position, and we are now ready to do our first test print. Every morning on all of our UV printers, I do run a test print. For this test, we're simply going to put a piece of cardstock paper right here on the bed, and I'm going to go ahead and activate this vacuum table, which is going to help keep this paper nice and flat. On the front control panel, go ahead and press the back button, and as you can tell, that's going to feed the table under the infrared sensor right there under the X-axis. This does have an autofocus sensor. There's a red infrared beam that runs across this X-axis right here, and once your material breaks that plane, it's going to stop letting that table lift up. Now, before you jog your print carriage over the table, I highly recommend you bend down and look under that print carriage with your eyeballs and make sure that head is not going to strike your table or your material. Ours is already calibrated correctly, so I'm going to just go ahead and jog that print head out over the table. I'm bending down and looking at it. I can go ahead and move my table up. You want to be about 2 millimeters below the print head surface. Since I know we're good there, we're going to hit cancel, which will send the carriage back to its home position. And now we'll jump into the RIN software, and I'm going to show you how to print your first color flag. Navigate over to your RIN software and open it up. This is your home screen. You're going to go up to the left-hand corner and choose the import icon. I keep a color flag where it's easily accessible. If you do not have a color flag, head on over to Jay's Printer Parts in the Files section, and they have a free download. I will have a link to that down below in the description as well. So we're going to double click on this color flag, and then I'm going to choose a custom height. I'm only going to do a small 1.5 inch print. I'm going to hit OK. My RIN software is set up so that the color flag automatically snaps to the lower right-hand corner. I'm just going to jog this up and over to the left a little bit, and then we're going to go ahead and hit print. Let's go ahead and make sure forward output is checked. We're going to go ahead and click print. Now you're going to save this file. We'll call this color flag. And I have this set up to save in a folder called J16 print files. Let's click save. Now we're going to jump back into the Better Print app. You're going to go to the left-hand side where Task Browser is. There is the J16 print files. There is my color flag right here. Double click on the color flag. Now we can go ahead and hit print. So here's a quick look at our first color flag, and you'll notice that yellow looks a little dirty on the bottom as well as the red. Do not be alarmed. These print heads are shipped with a moisturizer fluid which keeps those print heads from drying out. On your first ink load up, you will probably have to clean the print head a few times and run a couple color flags. Once you get a nice clean color flag, you are off to the races and ready to start having fun. Now let's go ahead and test print a different piece of artwork. You can see I already have my image loaded in here. This time I want to have a little texture to this, so I went ahead and went to the spot color selection, and I have the spot 1 check marked, and that's what's going to control our spot channel. And I'm going to go ahead and just leave that at 0. We'll click application, and once again we'll go over to the print icon. We're going to go ahead and hit print, and we'll call this blue collar. Go ahead and click save. Now let's jump back into the Better Print app, and we're going to go to the J16 print files, and there is our blue collar file. Let's double click that. Now we're going to go ahead and make sure our white is check marked right here, and we're going to go ahead and click print. When your print is finished, since this is a UV printer, this is still mind-blowing to me, but this ink is fully dry and cured, and this has a nice embossed effect because we put that white base down. Take a look at that beautiful print. Now let's go ahead and do something really fun. We've taken that design and placed it over here in our one laser, and you might have noticed those registration marks I printed. We're going to be using the print cut feature inside of Lightburn. Once your laser's finished cutting, you should now be able to come in here and take your piece out. And this right here is how you would proceed to make custom acrylic keychains on wood, leatherette patches, etc. So there you have it, guys. I know this was an extremely long video, but it's not called the ultimate setup guide for no reason. If you're in the market for a UV printer and you have the funds available, I would highly recommend you go ahead and upgrade and pick up this all new J16. All the features that I covered on this unit to me are really worth a little bit of extra money. Now, if you're on a tight budget, go ahead and check out our Ultimate ZZ2C setup. We still use that daily in the workshop. We've had it for about a year now, and that thing has been an absolute complete workhorse. However, this is probably going to be the new machine that we're using here in the workshop for all of our leatherette patches. I just absolutely love all those features I covered. So again, I want to give a big thank you to the team over there at J's Printer Parts for sending the J16 Northern Lights out for us to test. I've been extremely impressed with this, and I'm going to go ahead and give this one my seal of approval. And again, we're going to be able to help you guys save some money. If you guys got any value out of this video, I would really appreciate it if you used my discount code Rise and Grind. I'll have that on the screen and I'll link it down below in the description as well. So thanks again to everybody that supports this channel. If you guys have additional questions, drop those down below in the comments. I know this was not a full tutorial on how to do the artwork and get that set up and start printing. I know a lot of you struggle with that. So in future videos, I'm going to show you how to get this machine completely calibrated, as well as going over how to get your artwork set up and get it placed properly on this print bed. This all new J16 has a new rotary attachment as well. So in a future video, I'm going to be showing how to set up that rotary attachment as well. So you might want to make sure you go ahead and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss that video as well. So thanks again to everybody. We'll catch you on the next video.